items that we're going to go over today so that anybody that's able to watch the meeting knows what we're going over. So just a reminder that we're streaming on YouTube live. There you go.
Lovely.
Streaming the
Okay.
KD, all you.
Okay, welcome everyone, and those that cannot be seen but are joining us, we welcome you to this meeting. Appreciate everyone's input, and we know that we're getting closer to the end of the year, and for all of us, including teachers, students of all kinds, whether it be in college or in elementary, are hitting that crunch time. So thank you for everyone for involving your input. I motion for the meeting to begin.
I don't know that we have to second it, but I second for you.
Oh, okay, I didn't know. Okay, great. All right, let's see. I'm trying to pull up. Who is it again that has the math? Okay. I just want to make sure that I've got your name down so I can remember. So for what we discussed last time. Notes. Sorry. I apologize about my sneezing. It's that time of year.
Bless you.
Rules of conduct. That's what I was wondering. Okay, so last time we went over the funds, and we made our input. We voted on it, and it was a mass success. It was a very quick turnaround. That was the basics of it. Do we have any questions on what happened last time? I know this isn't official. I'm not great at this.
Just that we all
Thanks,
approved
Dan.
the land trust budget.
It was unanimous.
Yeah.
I'm glad you have it on mute, Dan. You stay on mute right now. Appreciate that. So if we're all good for that, if we're good that that's what happened last time, we'll accept those as the minutes.
So I motion to approve those.
Okay, cool.
Seconded.
Thank you.
Doing great, Dee. Keep going.
Oh, good. Okay. Are there
I do just have a question really quick, sorry, about the minutes that were taken last time. I'm pretty sure that Bob Myers took those notes.
He did.
I just I don't know that I have them.
Yeah.
So if you can, maybe you can follow up with Bob just about those notes, so then I can make sure to get them.
Put it.
Post them.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I will. That's why I wasn't reading something right away. Okay. So for the addendum for today, I would like to go over the math data results, and Jennifer will go over those for us. Is that right?
That is correct. That
Thank
is
you.
correct.
And then once that's complete, I would like to review the rules of conduct to see if there's any need of adjustments for this coming year to put that into play. And then if we get to voting, I'm not expecting that, but I definitely want to make a midway point discussion if it needs to continue through this month, and then vote and make those changes in May prior to next year.
And just so everybody's clear, those rules of order and procedure are on our website.
Yes.
And they're under the
Go to
Community
Davis
Council
or King.Davis.
school information.
K12.
Yeah, the school information tab, and then from there, Community Council is where you can.
Council.
So.
So those that are following with us streaming, or those that are on mute would like to follow us, they are on the website, and then we'll go through those later. Okay, so for the time being, let's turn it over to Jennifer. Thank you.
Okay, can I just get a thumbs up if you can hear me? Just to make sure that everybody's okay, good. That was helpful too, Dan, thank you. Okay, I'm learning about technology as I go along here. So we're going to present the slideshow. Okay, so this is again reviewing our school improvement plan, specifically the math goal. Our goal was 70% of students would demonstrate proficiency, which is 85% or higher in their grade level on one of the determined DESC priority standards. And we had diagnostics or benchmarks built by grade level teams and myself. And those were the same assessments used each of the 3 times that the test was administered. They were not adjusted in any way. The priority standards, these are the most essential in the grade level, and they highlight the major work of the grade level. And each grade level has 3 or 4, and we just selected one that we addressed for this.
Real fast, Jennifer.
What was that?
Just real fast before we continue, something that I failed to ask, is someone taking notes? Would someone like to take notes? Is someone proficient at taking notes?
Your question's getting better, Dave.
Do I have to delegate? No.
I can take notes for you, Dee, if you'd like.
I would really appreciate that, Sarah. I'm really bad at it. I do the best I
think
can,
it's difficult. I think it's difficult to lead a meeting and take notes at the same time.
I would agree.
Like chewing gum and walking.
No, I don't.
No, I'm pretty good at that.
I know that I go. Okay. Sorry to interrupt, Jennifer. Appreciate that. Sarah, thank you so much for voluntolding that.
All right. So again, these are the major works. We specifically just chose one, and this was determined by the grade level team at the end of the year last year. Okay, so the assessment window, we did assess in October, January, and March. And we have been analyzing the data during the PLCs, and we've been doing data dives in between and after the assessments have happened. Okay, priority standards are most essential. And again, this is our whole goal at King Elementary is we are about helping students understand and learn and providing opportunities for students to increase their mathematics understanding and their mastery in mathematics. And so we address the priority standards. We look at all the standards, but we really target those priority standards. And these assessments were intentional to help us get those grade level priority standards and see how the students were moving. And we assessed 3 times. Sorry, I just lost my picture of my people. Hold on. I don't know where they went. Just a minute. I gotta get my team's people back. Okay, hold on.
You're still doing good. We can see you and hear you.
Yes, but I couldn't see you.
Oh.
And that is a distressor for me.
Is it my face you need to look at?
I need to see people.
Oh, okay.
I don't like to have a blind teaching experience. By assessing 3 times, what was that? Okay. And so the data is used by teachers to target specific areas they still need to work and areas in which students are ready to move to deeper levels of understanding. It's all about movement. Regardless of where the student is at, we want to move them on in their understanding. Okay, so what happens between and has happened between assessments and what will happen next year or between now and next year, we've identified areas of concern and we address those, and those are some different strategies we use: number talks, math discussion, and other things like that. And what are we planning to do now moving forward? We're going to continue to use the assessments. We're going to be and to work towards proficiency in those grade level priority standards. So what happens next? We've given our last assessment for the year that we will report on. We're reviewing the assessment at this time and looking this was the first year that we've given it. There were things that we need to tighten up, and we are in the process of going through and tightening up those things and really making sure that they align 100%. You don't know until you've given something what the bugs are. And so we're working on eliminating those bugs. Also looking at the plan again for next year and curriculum mapping and looking at ways we can target those skills throughout the year and bring those in, and intentional instruction. So that's what our plan is for the rest of this school year. Okay, so, and that needs to change the EOI data. I apologize for that. So this is again, math is measured by mastery, not growth. And these are current grade level standards, and we expect them to meet them by the end of the school year. Okay, so, and they would not translate from, yes, D. You had a question?
So yeah, so we're talking about measured by mastery, not growth. So this is very different, if I'm correct. This is different than some of the other concepts that we're trying at the school, where as long as they are progressing. This is a measurement of, did they succeed in where their placement should be? Is that correct?
Yes and no. It is, did they succeed in their grade level understanding? Because they're assigned to a grade level, and we don't test them before they get into the grade level to see if they are eligible to be in that grade level. So, and that's where that's a little bit different, is that we use age to determine in the United States for the most part where their grade level is, and that is where they're assigned. So this is where in a general education population, that's their assignment. So we don't necessarily test for placement, but the student didn't test I mean, they might be fourth grade age, but they didn't test it at a fourth grade, they tested second grade. We don't put them in second grade. They're in fourth grade.
No, so is this measurement of, do we know if they succeeded at the beginning of the year or at the end of the year, or is
we would know it's an end of the year, because they wouldn't necessarily have been exposed to this prior to this school year.
So we don't know if there's been growth on that individual student at all. We just know if they've succeeded or not succeeded.
Correct.
I think that to clarify, we can look at the measurement that's taken at the beginning of the year, the middle of the year, and the end of the year, and we can see if the band that the student was placed in, whether they were below proficient, approaching, or proficient, and see how that changed. Yes, we can see that.
So we do have some ways of measuring if they have increased or not.
Yes.
But this specific thing is just for if they have mastered the grade level or the age that they're currently at.
Correct.
Right. The purpose of the assessment is to determine how many students have mastered the skill.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you. I just wanted to clarify that for that, because we were talking a lot about that we're not so much concerned on if they've succeeded or not, but are they progressing? And so this is just a way to be able to see at the end of year that if those that are in that class or that age have mastered the skills that are needed for that age.
Correct. In one very specific content area and one portion of that content area, yes. The content area being math. Okay, so in kindergarten, they were counting in cardinality, and the number of students in green, that percentage, that's our percentage of students who are proficient, who scored that 85% or higher. And this assessment, because it is counting, and cardinality has to do with, I can identify that when I count 5 things, that last number is the number of objects. That's cardinality. And recognizing that how many I've counted is the quantity itself. So this was given this is our end of year where we ended up, we have 46% of our students are proficient, 30% who are approaching, and then 24% who need a little bit more support.
So this isn't the end of year yet, though, right? Because we still have
No,
2
this
months.
was right. This was the March assessment.
Okay.
Okay, just a moment. Well, the phone's ringing in the background. We're gonna ignore it because it's gonna be entertaining.
Call from Dynata.
Sorry, should have gotten that sooner. Okay,
Call from Dynata.
all right. And then we have first grade, and theirs was to represent and solve problems involving addition and subtraction. And you can see there the 4 standards that it really covers. So priority standard, excuse me, 4 objectives. So develop an understanding of addition, subtraction, and strategies for addition and subtraction within 20 with word problems. Properties between addition and subtraction. Fluently add and subtract within 10, and understand what the equal sign means in an addition and subtraction problem. So, and 39% of our students were proficient, and 36% were approaching, with 25% limited at this point. And continuing, in second grade, it was understanding using place value. And we had 37% of our students were in the limited, 17% were proficient, and 46% are approaching. We're moving in a good direction there. Okay. In third grade, it was multiplication and division. 19% of our students are proficient, 52% are approaching. And part of this was to know from memory all products of 2 one-digit numbers. And there is a difference between memorizing and knowing from memory. The memorizing is just, I don't necessarily have a context, or I can't attach it to what it means. But knowing it from memory, that includes strategies. That might be, I know what 7 times 7 is, so I can figure out what 7 times 8 is. So it's about strategies and pathways that become smooth and easily traversed for them. But that's where we're at with third grade. In fourth grade, it was, yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
What exactly, I mean, I think we can get the gist of what approaching means, but what does it exactly mean?
If we look at percentages, those students are between 60 and 85%. That's the percent they received on the assessment. So 85 and higher is green, 60 to 85 is yellow.
Okay, thank you.
And there were quite a few students who were really close, but they needed a push, a little extra push. And in fourth grade, multiplication and division, this is the where I get into multi-digit multiplication. So you have 4 digit by 1 digit, 2 by 2s, and also the same with the division. We have 30% who are proficient, 35% who are approaching, and 35% who are limited. And again, going on those numbers, below 60% would be the limited group. And in fifth grade, this is, we're at 9% proficient, 36% were approaching, and 55% were limited. This does include the standard algorithm, and that standard algorithm for multiplication is what most people 30 and older would have learned when they were learning multiplication, when they went through school. It's where you have I'm going to multiply each digit, and then I carry, and then I add, where you have the limited amount of space that you're using. And then we have the division.
So is that?
Yes.
Is that what overall is being tested?
No, it's one part. It's one part. It's one. So that's this first one right here. Oh, sorry. That's the first bullet point, was the standard algorithm. The second one was division, and the third one is multiplying and dividing decimals.
Okay, so when are they taught the 2 different types of multiplication?
Well, we start with single digit multiplication in third grade. We really explore the concept. And again, they want to know from memory all of those single digit products. in fourth grade, we start to explore what we call the area model, where we have like 25 times 36, and what that looks like. And then in fifth grade, we move to not having to model necessarily, it's the algorithm. So we can put it into context, but we can calculate it outside of context.
And that's the standard algorithm.
That is the standard algorithm.
That, we multiply across and then we add underneath.
Correct.
Okay. And do we know if the percentage, because these three different bullet points, which of those bullet points I just see this large 55% of limited. Do we know which of the bullet points are the struggles, where we're having those things that they're not catching on, of how we can help them?
We do. That was not presented here because that's broken down by student, and that was specific to the teachers. So the teachers have access to that data. And what happened, the metrics that this teacher received, each question was tied to a specific standard, and they know exactly how each student performed on each single question. And they have that in a spreadsheet that they have access to. But we don't have that here.
Okay, no, if that's wonderful to hear that the teachers have access to see where they are struggling, because we can probably see within the next week to 2 months that change.
Right.
Escalating, because we have data of what it is they're struggling with and how to help them. Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. And that's true for every single grade level. And then sixth grade, this is your operations with rational numbers. And this is where you get into the positive and negative numbers, as well as they got to do all of the standard algorithms for decimals and fractions. So we have division by fractions, and one of the standards in sixth grade is that not only can they divide fractions, but they should be able to model, and they should be able to understand what the story problem is telling them. And so the test is going to include things like that, because we're hitting all parts of the standards. And we have 15% of this time who are proficient, 40% who are approaching, and 45% who are limited. Okay, so that's the end of my presentation. And I will now stop sharing my screen. But that is what I have for you. Do you have any questions for me? Any further questions?
So you mentioned that this is the first year that we're measuring performance in this way. So there's no cohort data to be able to tell performance year over year, right?
Correct.
So will this be the same testing that we carry on, going forward, so that we do start creating that cohort data, or like how will this be used, kind of on the go forward, not just for this year's, remaining month or two of school, but to kind of drive the path forward and then be able to measure success on that over time?
The intent is that it will be continued. As far as cohort data, because we would be able to see layers, right? We're not going to go back and give to a fourth grade student a third grade test. We won't do that next year. But we'll be able to see if they've been able to progress in their multiplication understanding, because those are the standards they've chosen. So we will see some change in understanding as we target those things. So go ahead, Dan. Oh, go ahead.
Finish the thought.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay. I was just going to say that, yeah, this was the first year, that we collected formative math data along the way, right? And there is no, the reason why we chose to do it is because there is no formative standardized math assessment option for us. So that's why we kind of created our own option. So I understand that it's we're definitely not measuring apples to apples if we're looking at like next year's data. But for me, even though and the other thing too, Adam, to answer your question, is we can't guarantee that the assessments will not change or anything like that, because as we collect data, we want to make sure our data is valid, it's reliable, and part of that is analyzing our common assessments that we're using And so I know that I have been a part of some PLCs or grade level meetings where some teachers have expressed concerns about different aspects of the assessment. And so, you know, we constructed the assessments with the grade level team, and you also provided feedback, correct, Jennifer?
Yes, I did.
And so I think we're just going to continue to try to refine these assessments to make sure that they are measuring what we want them to measure. But more importantly for me, it's making sure that our teachers are in the habit of using formative data to guide their instruction during the year. And so when we have standardized assessments like this along the way during the year, then I feel like it encourages teachers to use that data to their advantage and to adjust their instructional plan during the year, instead of oftentimes when we wait till the end of the year, well, the year's over and we can't do anything about it. But if we take measurements along the way, then we can adjust our instruction along the way. So we're hoping that we are developing teacher capacity in utilizing formative data to, you know, guide their instruction during the year. And then hopefully we're also increasing the proficiency or the mastery of these concepts with kids.
Can I jump in there, Dan, for a second? One example in 6th grade this year that was beautiful was one part of our test that in all 3 classes, the majority of students were really struggling. And the 3 of us 6th grade teachers felt like we had taught it well and beat it to death. And why are the majority of our kids still really struggling on this part of the test or with this concept? And so it's nice to have Jennifer there and have these PLCs where we can talk to her about that specific question. And then she can give us strategies, but she also came right into our classrooms and modeled for us a number talk that solidified that concept we hadn't thought of. And, you know, it was great. And the kids all did much better on that section of the test. She didn't teach to the test, but she just taught that concept in new and different ways than we'd exposed them to, that helped move them forward on that.
I know we haven't done this before, but were those numbers sort of in the ballpark of, because frankly, to me, they don't look that good. And so I don't know if that's normal, if that's kind of where it's at, maybe at this timing of the year, I don't know, but I don't know. They didn't look that great.
I think that the data indicated that we have plenty of room to grow. But I also, that's why Sarah and I both strongly believe in having some consistency in our plan for King, because if we're constantly measuring different things and not sticking with something, then I think it's hard to kind of to generate any sort of traction in what we're doing. And so I agree with you, and it's hard to, you know, Jennifer, what was the goal again?
70% proficient.
Yep, 70%. Mm-hmm.
So we would have liked the green wedge to be about 2/3 of that pie.
Right.
In each grade level.
And when we made that goal, clarify, was that a goal that is by the end of the year or by our 3rd measurement?
It was by the 3rd measurement, was our intent.
Yep. And so that was our intent. And so sometimes when you are doing something new, right, you know, it's hard to kind of have an accurate understanding of what's a reasonable goal and what's not. And but I am confident that if we can stick with a similar plan, which we have, by the way, so we've approved our TSSP, we've made a similar goal, we understand what we can do different, you know, and I think we've had those conversations, you know, with our teachers in looking towards next year. We're talking about making adjustments to our, you know, to our assessments. We're talking about making adjustments to our instructional plans and things like that. So we're definitely having conversations about those things that we can do. Sarah, thanks for raising your hand.
Regardless of the, oh, sorry.
Oh, no, you're fine.
Regardless of the goal, though, we still have quite a few that were in the red. I mean, that's just, that's testing and basic basically saying what's happening, right? So regardless of how we're testing them, we're still having quite a few in that red and yellow, right?
Right. And so going back to the growth talk, you know, and understanding where our kids were to begin with. So I think is an important part of telling the story of where we are. And so
theoretically, so I'm just going to jump in. Theoretically, they would start in red every year. So the majority of the class, right? With math is what Ms. Clough was saying, that we have to teach them all of that. So I understand what you're saying, Jenny, with, you know, we didn't teach all of it to all of them. We do have the rest of the year, right? And the teachers are still using that data. But I just want to bring up that the point Dan made about common formative assessments and helping teachers to having that guide their instruction. And I would say that that is something relatively new to King Elementary. I mean, within last year and this year where, we have common formative assessments where we're guiding that instruction. And that's not to say all of our teachers, you know, we have pockets of people who have been doing that. But last year, we actually set a goal that was based on a common formative math assessment, but it was on one very small targeted strand of fluency for the grade level, whatever their fluency standard was. So, and last year, I don't know if you recall or not, but the end of year data was mostly red. It wasn't good.
That was actually the middle of the year because we didn't give the end of year because of COVID.
Okay, but even so, it was middle of year. And what I would say that is showing us, even though we didn't test the same concepts on these tests, to me, that's showing us that our teachers are learning now how to use that common formative assessment and that data to then direct their instruction and change their instruction. And that's something that has to be taught, right? And as we keep that goal and we're using that common formative assessment, so yep, it wasn't good this year, but it was worse last year and it was better this year. Even though different concepts, you can see that our teachers are growing in their knowledge of how to utilize that data. And so that's promising. But I will agree with you.
That's why I was wondering if it was expected or, because I don't know. I don't know what.
I absolutely agree.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Okay, Joanna.
Yeah, I just was gonna say, Jenny, I look at that too as a classroom teacher that was teaching this stuff and assessing this stuff. I see that pie chart and I'm like, okay, I quit. You know, I'm failing these kids because it's like, you see,
it doesn't look very good. Yeah,
it's scary, 100%. And then I have to take a step back and think about a few things. And one is we stopped. We didn't stop school, we didn't stop teaching, but we were like trauma teaching, right? From March 17th last year through the end of the year. And so the final push that those of us who have been doing this type of assessing and teaching and targeting, we missed out on a few months of that. And so I feel like our kids were starting already kind of in the hole a little bit, some of them. But when I don't look at this pie chart for the whole grade level, but I go into my own class and my own kids, and you know, the pie chart's including everything and every single thing that every kid has gone through this year or moved in or moved out and all of those things. When I go in and I look at the breakdown that Dee asked about and Jennifer mentioned that we teachers have for our individual classes, and I look at my specific student and where my students started and where they got to at the middle of the year test and where they are now in the end of the year test, then I think, okay, maybe I can keep teaching, because seeing the growth of individuals is very encouraging, even if that pie chart does not look nice out.
Yeah, that you get to be able to see the progression of the student. Okay, thank you, Ms. Joe. Patrick.
Yeah.
So I was just wondering, was there a pre-assessment that was given then?
We did not. The pre-assessment was our beginning of year assessment that we gave at the end of October. And our design in doing that was that there would be some exposure to the concept, so it would have some validity.
So we're not being able to compare anything from the beginning of.
If you go back to the notes, I can have Sarah post it. We did at the middle of year, you did see the beginning to the middle.
So that would have been nice if
Yeah,
it was on the slideshow, just so we could have just seen it all right there and then see growth, because growth is, we all know we care about the growth. Growth will get us to the achievement. And that's probably what's scaring a lot of us, is we're not seeing any growth.
There's
we're
a
just
lot of
seeing
red.
one number. So I would recommend putting the middle to where it is now so we can see some kind of growth that's happening. And then
Okay.
the second thing is, what programs is being taught in the math? Do you guys have what programs, like the Go Math or?
Okay, so currently in kindergarten, first, second, and third grade, we have investigations, which is was developed by a consortium of math education professionals from kindergarten through college level, and has been around. We're in third generation of that, and it's put together by, I can't remember their name, but Investigations, and then it's sold, or Pearson Publishing Company, now Savas, has the right to publish that for them, but it is by that, it's a research-based program. We have that kindergarten through third grade. Fourth and fifth and sixth grade, we have Advantage Math, which was written by teachers in Data School District who hold master's degrees in math education and in curriculum design. And then sixth grade, we are in Go Math. So those are the programs that we currently
So
have.
I like Go Math. That's a great program. I like more of the book instead of the online. The online, I think the kids click, 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 done. So I would recommend for sixth grade and Go Math, get rid of the online, because they know how to click through it without doing any of the work. But then make them show them, have like a workbook where they're writing all of that information out. And I've seen huge progress with that Go Math on there. So Advantage Math, that's another good program that the school put together. It just needs a lot more talking and extra work in there. So those are two good programs I like to see. It's just Go Math is a great program on paper, not online.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of this is awesome to talk about, and we can continue going probably for another 2 hours just talking about the different math aspects, how we're testing, what we're using and stuff. Is there a way, Jennifer, to be able to maybe reach out to you and get some closer clarification of what is being taught and how we can help contribute into our students in helping them achieve the goals that are set before them?
Yes, there is a way you can. I mean, I'd be happy to. I don't know if there's another meeting, but I'm happy to look at some different things with that. And you can always email me. My email is jclough@dsdmail.net. So it's the simplest version of my name. Some things that are always good that parents can be of help and get out to the community is to talk to their children about what they're doing. What questions did they ask in school that day? What is something they learned? What did they notice in their class, especially with math? And anytime you can talk about that, where the student, your child, is the one speaking the math, and you're having a conversation seeking to understand what they know, is always good. And that is always a positive support.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. All right, Dan Hansen, we just got a few more minutes. I don't want to kick the horse continually.
I was just going to make a super fast comment.
Okay.
One, so it's safe to say we have a variety of math curriculum at our school. So different grade levels are using different math curriculum, but we teach the standards, the state standards. So we don't just blindly use a math curriculum. We focus on teaching standards. I would say that it's right now, Jennifer and Sarah and I have not seen any sort of correlation between the curriculum material and how grade levels have performed. And so our focus is not necessarily on the curriculum that teachers are using, but on the instructional pedagogy that they are utilizing in their classroom.
Right.
So go ahead, Jennifer.
Curriculum is a tool, not the driving force.
Sure. And so I'm just letting you guys know. And then the last thing that I wanted to say very quickly is that part of our plan this year was to identify, essential skills that grade levels are going to be focusing on, and King Elementary plans to improve the transparency and communication of these skills to our community, and so that every parent could know what essential math skills or what essential reading skills their child is working on in that grade level.
Fantastic.
Okay, that's it. That's all I wanted to say. Thanks.
Thank you, Dan, for that input. Is your Jennifer, is your email posted somewhere on the E.G. King site to be able to reach out to you?
I am not sure if that is there, but I can talk to Adam. I don't know who our web designer is but we can work that out.
Okay.
It should be on our site. It's under staff, and you'll find her name and then her email is there.
So those that are viewing or listening, if you have any more math questions about how things are going, please don't hesitate to reach out to both the teachers, see how their student is doing, or to Jennifer, see how we can contribute and add to the community in lifting that up. All right. If there's nothing other than that with concerns, I would like to motion to change our attention to our rules of order and procedure for the E.G. King School Community Council. Be good for that? Okay. All right. So those that have it available, please, if you could follow along, it's go to the king.davis.k12 Utah US. And then as you click on the school information and then community council, there will be some drop down. Go ahead and go to the rules of order. These are some of the things that we've been talking about through the year, that we have put little seeds in through the year about how we can maybe improve our community council. Something that I have heard great things about, that I have witnessed and really love, though I have not been a contributor to past years, is that this year, with this change of going digital, we're all online, it has helped being able to keep the meeting and agendas focused, but we're still able to contribute and be able to show it online to those that would still like to be a part of it, but may not be able to make it. So I really like that, but there are some other things they would like to go over. Is everyone okay with that? Any objections? Okay. And I kept talking just to give everyone time to find the site if they haven't had it. Okay, so these rules and order and procedures, as shown, will be revoted on each year by the current community council members for the following school year. So just as a note, those that are on the council, both parents and teacher and staff, will be voting on this. To promote ethical behavior and civil discourse, each council member shall, and these are the bullet points that we want to really make this council about: attend council meetings on time and prepared, make decisions with the needs of students as the main objective, listen to and value diverse options, be sure the options of those you represent are included in discussions. Sorry, opinions, not options, opinions. Expect accountability and be prepared to be accountable. Act with integrity. Are there other things that would like to make as a bullet point for those finite of what we stand for? Okay. Hearing noise. Just got to open. All right. Rules of procedure. Okay. I don't know the best way to go through this next part. After reading through a lot of it was very self-explanatory. Some of it, I felt that I needed some better insight. But those that have been doing this council for some time may have a better idea of what parts may be a need of focus. So for this next bit, there are some different bullet points with the rules of procedure. That is agendas, meetings, and minutes, school year timeline, council members, attendance, and voting. With those different bullet points, we have listed in here what the rules and procedures are. Are there some in those points that we would like to start talking to that we feel need some adjustment right away? Okay, I'm getting crickets.
Nothing that I think needs to be adjusted, but like reading the part about the council members, it's almost kind of laughable. It's like we shouldn't have more than 14 parent council seats, And like if I look on this call, I think there's 4 of us who are parents. And so something that I think we should think about, and I understand it's been like a COVID year, so maybe it was hard to do recruiting, but like maybe next year for the community council, if there are like back to school events or things like that, maybe we could do some kind of like flyers, or I don't know, talking to parents coming to the school or something like that to try and get a little bit more support. I don't know that that's a procedural change, but it's just something that sticks out to me as we read through these.
So I have a thought on that, actually, that you bring up the council seats. A few years ago, we did do that at back to school night. We handed out flyers and we got a lot of people interested and a lot of people that said, yeah, I'll do it. And they came to maybe the first meeting and then we just didn't really see them again. And so then we had, I would say it was maybe a little bit messy because then we had a whole bunch of council members that were registered on the site as being registered. And then when we went to vote on things, and especially our plan, we had to track these people down because they were registered as voting members, right? And
yeah.
So that was hard. So I have that thought about it, right? That yes, we'll get that initial, but then I don't know that we get a lot more after that. So I wonder if we do that, but we also do limit the number of seats. I've never been on a council where they've allowed 14 parent members, which means we could have up to 10 school members, which would give us 24 members on a council, and that is large. I would say that I don't know, and maybe Dan, you can tell me what you've seen. I would say that in schools that I've served on community council, and it's been like 6 or something close. It's much lower as far as the parent number, which means then we can have school members, and that means our number is closer to like 10 people total.
I would agree with Sarah that is more accurate. The thing that we kind of need to be keeping in mind, not that it's your responsibility, but kind of is a responsibility, is making sure that we have both year 1 and year 2 council members, because we need the veterans to teach the new people. There's this right to help educate them about. So just curious right here, D, you're a year, or wait, you were year 1? Yeah, and Adam,
No.
you're
Okay. I'm year 2 because I got voted in last year.
Right. Jenny, I already forgot Jenny. I'm sorry. What are you, year 1 or 2?
I think I'm year like 4, I think. I don't know.
So and so that's one thing that we can remember is that you can serve consecutive terms, but you're always, even if you serve consecutive terms, you're always a year 1 or a year 2.
Okay, yeah, so 2.
Yeah, because 2 is or 4 is a multiple of 2. But we just want to make sure that we have a good mix of people who have experience, and then we rely on those people to help new people gain experience. But I do agree with Sarah that when you have a very large community council, that it can make getting through agendas and hearing everybody's opinion a little bit more problematic.
It's just less effective, I think. Yeah. Right? Because
and that's why we have representatives. We have representatives that represent large groups of people, and so yeah, that would be our feedback there.
Okay, so as a note, Sarah, since you're keeping notes, so thank you so much. you know, something that comes to my mind as we're talking about year 1 and year 2, if we're keeping, if we think about half year 1 and half year 2, you know, we have 3 and 3, or we have 4 and 4. And even if we keep 4 and 4, then that means we're still not getting any more on the whole council than 12. Is that right?
Sorry, if we have 4 year 1s and 4 year 2s.
Yeah,
Yeah.
as parents.
I mean, so theoretically, I think it says on there that we have to have 2 more parent members than school
Okay,
members.
So we could have got to 14. And that's the thing, is I wouldn't, if we only did 6 parents, that means that only 4 teachers can be involved. That's
Actually
pretty small.
4 school members, which means
School
like
members. Right.
the principal
Dave Crunchy,
and
Sarah.
so it's not a lot, right? I
It's not
think
a lot.
anywhere between 5 and 8, I think is shown to be effective as far as council, like
kind of like
parent.
that 8 mark.
I can definitely support that. I mean, obviously, it was just an item of discussion. Adam had brought that up, and it's been something that I've thought about, that we have really made it open and big in the 3 years that I've been here, and it doesn't make the attendance any better. And so I tell, and maybe Dan could even tell you, I tell my Harley Davidson story all the time, that they were going under. And the minute they made it really hard to get a Harley Davidson, suddenly it became the thing, like that nobody could get their hands on one, right? And it became very popular, and suddenly everybody had interest in that. That's so random, I know, but bless my grandpa for telling me that story. But I just think sometimes, and not that I'm trying to make it so nobody can be a part of it, right? But like Dan said, that's why we have representatives, so that we can be targeted and can be effective in our time together. And then, you know, people really should be bringing their thoughts from the community and from areas that are around them, I suppose. So I think when we do that, and then people start to value and see the value of a voting member position on the community council, then instead of just everybody showing up on that first time, we're like, everybody's welcome. And then it's hard to see the value, especially if it's ineffective when we have a conversation, because there's so many people. Then, you know,
we stop counseling and we start arguing. Okay, so with
I have
that,
a quick thought on that. I know I'm a guest, not a person.
I want you to say, just as a reminder, we have 5 minutes, so we do want to go too far, and I have. So Jennifer, please give your voice, and then I'll have something to say.
So as far as inviting the people to the meeting, many people may not know what the commitment is. So maybe not necessarily invite them to the first meeting. And if they want to commit after that, maybe come to the second meeting. So then they become the council member. That's just a thought. So they have an opportunity to experience and see what it's like.
That's great. Wonderful. Yeah, I like that a lot. It's not just the first boom. Okay, you're in. All right. Check it out. See if you like it. Then stay. Okay. So on that, there are some different things going through that. One of the things that we did not necessarily do this past year, because it was so weird with this whole council being online, is that the voting process is supposed to be a secret ballot. I don't know how that is going to be possible if we continue doing it online. We may need to look at adjusting that part of the procedure as well. So that being said, I would invite everyone to please read over the rules and procedures. If everyone is okay, I thought that doing that meeting offhand, not as an official, but as a way to be able to have the community council still discuss different things, I would like to propose that we set up a time 2 weeks from now.
Could we do it in May? We still have that last one in May, and I don't know that we really have an agenda for May. Could we do it in our May meeting?
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that we had a meeting to be able to first discuss what changes we want, and then have the time to be able to vote on it and make those changes.
And then I just wanted to clarify really quickly. I'm not the secret ballot. My understanding of the secret ballot was when we are voting for members. Is that like
Yes.
for? Oh, okay.
For
And that's
community
what you were
council.
saying.
Yeah, because we didn't do that. I was like, yeah, whatever.
Sorry. Well, we could do, you know, and if we're changing a procedure on that, we can always do like a form that's an anonymous form or a Google form or something like that, and everybody can respond. In
Yeah.
that way, we could do it even live in the meeting in that way.
Okay. And like I said, there may need to be some adjustments even to how we are attending community council. Are we going to be continuing council via Teams chat? Is this effective? Do we want to make this part of the procedures that we get together this way, or do we want to do it at a place and have them face to face? So I encourage everyone to look through the procedure, make some notes, and then as we discuss it, that we make those changes for the betterment of next year. I really like that idea of limiting the amount of seats so that it becomes, oh yeah, that's coveted, those that are there, to even the time, talking about the school year timeline and how that looks. That's like the shortest the paragraph in there, and knowing what that is. One of the things that we discussed a couple of months ago is getting together, you know, every month, and then there was a time that we were just voting every quarter, was said something like that, you know. So changing things, seeing how things are happening, I would encourage everyone to do that. So that's my last thoughts. Does anyone have anything to contribute to that part? We're running low on time, and I'd like to keep it within our time frame. Okay, thank you so much for everyone's help, everyone that contributed, and those that are listening and thinking and making those wheels turn. That's what gets our kids through the school year. That's what makes this community, this awesome school, you know, second generation there. Such an awesome thing is everyone's thoughts, ideas, and input. If we don't input, if we don't put our thoughts forward, if we don't ask questions, if we don't make a statement of inquiry to make us really think, then we're not progressing. We want to progress. We want to keep putting things forward. So thank you everyone for contributing to that. And I motion for this April meeting to close.
Thanks, Steve.
I
Seconded. There you go.
Thank you very much. This is an awesome time, and I am so grateful for the opportunity that I've had. And we shall end the meeting and see you later. Please keep in contact on Teams or via email. Thanks. Bye.
Yep.